This is a video on how to work out affordability or servicing calculating for a client. It follows on from the video on how to create the client folder and set the client up in Sales Tracker. So once that's done, we've got the client in Google Drive, and inside that we have the plan. So in applications, we're planning to buy an investment purchase, and we're going to run servicing. This folder is always there, and inside that folder is always the QED servicing calculator, and I've dropped in there a broker cap, which is an ME bank servicing calculator. What we need is the client's details, which is in this case the client financial snapshot, and specifically, is the client single or married? Are there any dependent children? What is the home situation? Home address. Is that an owner-occupied property, or is she renting? So in this case, she's renting. What is the savings situation, and what kind of debts are there? So that's all there. And now we go to the calculator. The first one I always do is the QED one. And in this case, I'll go to single income because Emily is single. So we use single, no dependents. She is in Sydney. So we can go to Sydney. And a loan amount that we're aiming for is maybe 550,000. Emily's income was 80,000 per year. Yep. No HEX or help debt, no. Rental income, so let's say that she's getting, say, $500 per week. And we're the rental factor 85, we'll leave that as is. That's fine. Other income, that goes to 0. Other interest expense, there is an interest expense, but we'll leave that blank for now. It's not that important. Current balance, there's no other mortgages, there's no credit cards. If Emily would have a credit card with, say, a $5,000 limit, then we would put here 5,000. And living expense, that needs to be addressed. So she's single, her living expenses wouldn't be 3,000. It's more likely to be about something like 1,600 per month. And the calculator is telling us, well, that's a bit below the benchmark, so let's pump it up a little bit. Okay, just over the benchmark. And what loan amounts are we after? We're after 550, and the calculator is telling us, yep, that should be okay. Net income is this much. There's a surplus. She should be able to afford 756. So that's good news. That's the generic one. Now we're going to an ME bank one. So no, not here. We've done the generic one. Now we're going to the broker cat, which is this one, broker cat, which is an ME bank, members equity bank. It's a bit more complicated. So we start here, one applicant. We need a loan of 550,000. We're doing this as an investment. The products, in this case, I'll just there's different products, but normally we select flexible members package MP, and we're doing this as a, say, principal and interest loan. The loan to value ratio, let's do an 80% loan. 80%, and then it tells us, oh, then you should be able to get this rate. Fine. If we want to change to, say, a fixed rate, that will probably reduce. Yep. Okay. That's all we do here. Then we go to this side and we say, okay, her salary, she's a full-time employee. She earns per year $80,000. Oh, something we forgot. I messed this up. One of her expenses, rent, monthly. So she's renting for $400 a week, which is, let's say, $1,600 a month. Which is not entirely accurate because 4 weeks is not a month, but let's do that. And then it doesn't work anymore. So this is how the affordability changes. Let's see what it does on the ME Bank one. So we've got income, her weekly commitment, rent, is 400. She doesn't have any credit card limits. Or did we do that? Oh yeah, okay, we can take the credit card limit out, see how that changes, see how that figure now changes, and we're getting closer to where we need to be. Now, let's see, no credit card limits, no other mortgages, we'll leave this blank. We do need to do living expenses, that's mandatory. For a single person, I expect, say, $800 a month, because this is monthly living expenses. For groceries, say 150 for personal care, 150 for telephone, transport, say 500 for car, recreation and entertainment. Emily likes to go out, so we do 200. And already this is gone now. If I take this away, okay, if I do 100, let's see what happens. Oh, that's okay. I'm trying to make it come up. I won't do it yet. Okay, so $1,200 per month. That's not accurate, but that's the expenses. And Emily will have rental income of say $500 a week. Have we got everything? Income, her own rent, rental income. We're looking for that. Yeah, that should be enough. And then we say assess. Marital status. Okay, so she is not married. Independent. She has no dependents. Okay, now we should be able to do this. That works. Okay, so on the ME Bank one calculator, it works. That's different from the generic one, which is good news. But now I've filled in all the details. It is telling me that the living expenses seem to be low, and that makes sense because on the generic one, it's telling us that 1700 was just below the benchmark. So we'll probably need to be closer to that 1700 mark. So let's change these figures again to see if we're getting closer to what we need. Okay, so on 2000, the ME bank is telling me, yeah, you've hit the benchmark. Let's see what it needs to be as a minimum. Yeah, if I go to 1900, it's telling me, no, you're still sitting. So the ME bank calculator is telling us the benchmark is different from the generic one, which is what we would expect. Every bank will use their own benchmark. Every bank will use their own affordability calculation. That's why we need to run multiple affordability calculators. No, it's not enough. So we really do need to sit at that 2000 mark to fulfill the living expense benchmark. Let's see how that changes here. Okay, so the calculator had already taken into account a minimum benchmark for living expenses. So whilst we were low here, it didn't matter here. It had a minimum amount that the calculator took into account. But on the ME Bank, it works. So that's one that we could use. This is a bank that we can use. And now if we want to use another bank, let's say we want to do Virgin as well, then we would go to Flex, and we go, or let's say CBA. We're going to get the CBA affordability calculator. And we check on calculators, click on calculators, home repayment calculator, serviceability calculator, that's the one we need. The file welcome to the banks has all the banks login passwords, so I go to CBA, and there it is, there's the password. And we come back here, so we've got the user ID, password is this, we're logging in. Okay, home loan servicing model, non-bridging, yep, that's the one. So this is how you get the servicing calculator for a particular bank. Okay, enable editing. So here's the CBA calculator, and it looks completely different, as you can see. Let's see how we go. Number of properties, there's only one property. Number of adults, only one. Number of dependent children, none. Monthly living expenses. So we'll do the same 1700 again, see how we go with that. Households, she's part of household 1. Gross annual salary, 80,000. Existing rental income. So with CBA you need to put in, I'll just do some fake numbers, expected value. So we're saying we're buying something for 600,000. Declared, so we're aiming for the same 500 per week in rent again, and this is proposed new, and then it will say yeah, okay, that's fine, because we couldn't say, well, we're buying for 600 but the rent is going to be $1,000 a week. It wouldn't allow that, but this is acceptable, and we're saying, well, what percentage does she own? She owns 100%, so that takes care of this. Then we go back to the calculator. Okay, now we've got a rental figure that can be used, and then we're saying total continued commitments. This would be existing debts like home loans and credit cards. There is none, so we'll leave that blank. Proposed loan details, so we're doing a say a variable rate home loan. Loan type for investments, is this tax? Yes, it is tax deductible. The balance, we're doing 550. Assessment rate, so this is, as you can see, a minimum of 5.4. Let's say that we'll do 6% assessment rate. Loan term 30 years. Monthly charges 0. I think this one interest only period. Let's say 3 years. Then comes with repayments per month. We're still missing information. We need to go to negative gearing. Interest rate, so the actual interest rate, let's say that she's getting a rate of 3.3%, which means that the interest portion per year is 18,000. She owns 100%. Back to calculator. Okay, so now we've got $80,000 income. We haven't got the rental income. We might need to put that in here actually. We need to put her rental, not the rental income, her rental expense somewhere. We haven't done that yet. That's why the figure is so high. There's here somewhere. Ongoing rental commitment payments. So that's annual. So let's say she's paying 400 a week times 52, 20,800. That's where it needs to. So you need to check where the information that needs to be entered needs to be put in. Can be a bit tricky. Okay, and CBA is saying as well, yeah, it fails. There is a monthly shortfall of $500. She could borrow a maximum of 446. So if we could see, well, what if she would earn 90,000? How would that change things? And then she's still short, she could afford for 500. So this is how the calculators work, and how you work out what a client can afford with a particular bank.